In today's Devember devlog update, more caching. Hello, fellow Sublime Text fanatics. Oda Nerd here. Welcome to your devlog update for Devember the 16th. Yes, I did indeed get that correct. It is currently 10:40 in the evening, so we're pistol whip our way through this thing and go. We worked today on finishing up stuff that happened in the live stream yesterday, which is this was the last commit here, and as we can see, this actually happened at 12:01 this morning because the stream went kind of long, and I had some other stuff to do. We know when I do live streams and we add commits to the repository, I commit things and just put a simple message in there and then cycle back after the stream and fill that stuff out. And that part didn't end up happening until slightly after midnight. But let's cover what we worked on today because it was an extension of what we worked on yesterday. And the first thing was cleaning up issues with our live stream caching because one of the things that we did, we were working in the live stream yesterday on caching things, and the issue here, such as it is that we had various things for caching, like the list of playlists cached by their playlist ID, playlist contents cached by playlist ID. Sorry, the playlists are actually cached by channel ID, and so on. But the results of channel information was actually just a list of all of the channels, and for that reason, we had this value here be just a regular, not be there until the data was there. So the clue that something was in the cache was seeing if it actually exists in there or not, and then it would be added and deleted out. But that one was different than everything else, and I didn't like that, so I swapped it so that it in fact is just always there. We can see that comment coming out, and now clearing the cache actually just resets that particular value. And one of the other things was I noticed this in the live stream as we were wrapping up, and I meant to fix it last night, but I didn't get the chance, so I did that today, which is this. When we were clearing out playlist contents for a particular playlist ID from the cache, it was accidentally not deleting the actual playlist ID. So we went ahead and fixed that too. Moving on, the thing that we're working on here now, of course, is being able to fetch the details for a video, which is used in two places. One, when you actually want to know the details of a video, say for editing it, and also when fetching the contents of a playlist, because the playlist, as we fetch it, has just the information on playlist contents that says the video with this ID is the one that's in here and this is when it was published, and a little bit of more information, but not much more than that on the actual video itself. So we need to actually fetch information down, and because we need to do it in two places, do we want to have the same code in two places? No, we do not. So we implemented fetch video details here, which is this bad boy. It's basically the code that is in the existing method, and if you watched the video last night, then you'll have, or the live stream yesterday, sorry, then you would have seen this sort of action here. This one is slightly different. Let's go ahead very quickly and jump into our preferences and swap the diff style on this, so that we can see more of these particular changes. So what was added in was this. Now, basically, what's going to happen here, and this is the thing that I wanted to fix. We're caching video details at the video ID level, and one of the problems that we had previously was if you look at the contents of one particular playlist, like say the Plugin 101 playlist, it downloads the details for those 18 videos, but the details are cached inside of the contents of the playlist, and that's in the cache. So if you look at another playlist that contains the same videos, say the uploads playlist, then it fetches those details down again, and it really shouldn't need to do that. So what we want to do ultimately is cache video details based on their video ID, and then if you need them, you need them, and if you don't, you don't. So that's what this is doing here. So this is basically a version of the other code, but sort of tweaked up a little bit because we get passed in a list of video IDs that we might actually want to do something with here. And when we get that list, we ensure that we find the list of missing IDs, which is all the list of videos that aren't already in the passed in cache data. And this is an argument because we're going to use it in two places, and those two things are going to be cached in different places. We'll cover that in just a moment. The message tells you how many things were cached, how many things it's fetching, and how many things there are. So informationally, you can see. And then, of course, from the list of missing IDs, as we covered in the live stream yesterday, this API method can get lists of items, but only up to 50. That doesn't seem to be documented. You can't page it, so we need to chunk this list into lots of 50 or less, and match them in parts, and then for each one, they're added to the cache based on their ID, and also added to the ultimate list of things that get returned back to the person who asks. So with that in place, we can actually use this in our code. So now playlist videos is a new thing that we have here, and in asking for playlist contents, what we're actually doing here previously, we were just caching playlist contents. With this, we actually want to be storing playlist videos in here as well. That's a new item that has been added. So, and the reason for this is something that we're going to talk about in just a moment, but there's two places we want to fetch video details down. So now you see all of this code has been pulled out and is put in the other place, including there's that one line that we added that actually allows it to find the things that are missing. So it only requests what it absolutely needs to. So when this says these are the 100 things that I need, it can look and say, okay, well, you said you need 100, but actually 22 of those were already requested. I'm only going to request the other ones, but it can still pull them all out anyway. And that is this call right here. So when we fetch video details, we give it the list of IDs that we are interested in getting. We get this value here, and then we say we want to get this action, the store the information or look up information in this particular cache item, the playlist videos. And with that in place, it actually, will do what we say if you look up the contents for just one playlist that's not uploads, it'll download the details for those. Then if you look at, say, the uploads playlist, it knows it doesn't need to download the details for those other ones. Saves time, saves quota, saves, trouble. And it's just cleaner, as always. Now, one other thing that I noted in here, I had a little bit of a bug in there when I implemented this thing. So I added this in. This is our actual handle request code. If I lump this out, when we make a request, of course, it sends the, it calls the official handler for this, and then HTTP errors are called by the YouTube code if there was a problem fulfilling the request, and that gives us error codes. If there was an actual exception of any other kind, then this will still catch it. This make sure that any code that you write that has a problem doesn't crash everything. It gets caught as a generic error with the code of -1. We're actually displaying the stack trace in the console now so that you can actually trace that, because otherwise the only message that you see is the contents of the exception itself. So in my particular case, my issue was I was looking up something by key in the video list that wasn't there because I had made a mistake in the code that figures out which videos are missing, and it was including not all of them sometimes. That's a key error that tells you the key that was missing, but the error message of that is just the name of the key. So that's all this gets for the message. That is not particularly helpful, and we don't even know where exactly it went wrong. So this allows us to display the same stack trace as you would normally see, just in this case, so you can track those errors down. And maybe we want to augment this to include more information from here. That is something that we're going to be working on later. Now, based on that, we could continue on now because we have a list of a item for video details, which was actually not really being called anywhere, because the one command that actually does something with this is the edit details command, and the playlist contents is enough. The details that it downloads is enough for it to be able to display the window. If you've watched the live streams, you've seen those detailed videos popping up with the thumbnail and the title and the description and the tags and all that stuff. But we do want to have an actual request for this. And the reason why we busted that code out and factored it out into its own things, because we're going to be making two calls and we want to provide different parts of data. As we can see here, we're actually fetching down different data here than we are for the other thing, which is why it's fetched in video details, which is separate from the one in playlist details. And that's why this argument takes a parameter that tells it. But as we can see, it is very simple to do this whole operation. So right now, This is not strictly necessary because the details that we're using for the implementation that we have were already available, but we wanted to, of course, augment that going forward. And then the last thing we did here, if I remember correctly, was actually use that call in the video details request. So where previously it would just you would ask for the list of videos in the uploads playlist and then directly allow you to select a video. Now it actually does that just a little bit differently. It actually sorts the playlist for one thing, but we also ask for playlist details when you select an item. Instead of just going, when you select a video, instead of just immediately displaying the results, it fetches the details and then uses the details. So it works the same, but it actually is fetching more information, which is something we're going to need in a future update. And then we are left at the top here. So that is what we have done here. Remember, we're going live tomorrow on the channel, 8 p.m. Pacific time, right here on this channel. Use the button down below. If you ring the bell notification icon, or YouTube will tell you when I'm going live. And if you subscribe, of course, you have to do that to ring the bell notification icon. You'll see the video and you can set a reminder for yourself as well to make absolutely sure that's something that YouTube will do. We're going to continue working on caching here. At a minimum, we're going to start looking into the idea of taking this data that we're caching and trying to persist it to disk in some fashion so that between runs, if we want to, we don't have to keep fetching information down. And that's going to do it for this particular thing. Hope to see you in the live stream. We have a lot of fun in there, hanging out, answering questions. The last stream, we were working on this stuff and talking about space games like Kerbal Space Program and other games of that nature. And it's just a great time. It's a great hang. If, in these times of COVID, sometimes we miss being able to just hang out with other developers and ask questions and talk about developer stuff. If you're like me, your wife's probably not a super fan of that. But until that live stream tomorrow, this is ODAT Nerd asking you to please have a sublime day, and I am out of here.